Hello everybody, my name is Mark.
And my name is Britton.
And today we're going to talk about WALL-E by Pixar.
Yes, the very same.
Yes, the very same Pixar. And, well, let's just get started. Now, I like this movie a lot. I think this is a really fun and colorful and well-animated movie.
Yeah.
And I think this is only my second or third time actually watching it all the way through. My nephew used to watch it a lot, but I'd always, just kind of tune in and out, every now and again. So I've only seen this once before. And this was 2006, I think. 2008? Okay.
Yeah.
And so, man, 12 years ago. And, yeah, I still think that the movie holds up pretty well.
It holds up pretty well. The special effects, I guess it's all special effects, but the computer graphics still hold up. It doesn't look dated by any stretch of the imagination. Definitely no crow's feet on this one. This is a movie back in the day when I was a projectionist. I projected this movie, and Pixar is very, very not hands-on, but they reach out to the projectionists. Like, they'll give you baseball caps and
swag,
collectors.
basically.
Yeah, they'll give you all kinds of things just to kind of make sure that you're keeping their film in good order and keeping it clean and projecting it right.
That's cool. So let's just give a very, very brief overview of what the plot is about for the three people who haven't seen this one yet. You can start.
So WALL-E is a little robot. Actually, I don't think he's really that little. I think he's like half a person tall at least.
He's 6'8".
Yeah. But he's a robot. Very highly implied, like the last of his kind. Looked like there was an army of them, and his task is cleaning up Earth after humanity left it uninhabitable for centuries. And so he go on.
I was gonna say, they just pretty much, humans left a mess and said, we're peacing out to the stars, and we're gonna just fly around in space for the rest of our lives. See ya.
And so, WALL-E and his kin, but are the robots, tasked with cleaning all that up. He's the last one until centuries later, this other robot, Eve, comes down, and it kind of puts a wrench in the works in his whole routine, and she. Is it a she?
Yeah, she's a she.
Is it a she?
She steals, basically, like, he finds a plant in a refrigerator. He puts it in a boot, and this just so happens to be... That's what happens. And this just so happens to be what Eve is coming down looking for. Like, there's thousands and thousands of these little probes that are looking for plant life on Earth, and she's the first in 700 years to find actual plant life. And when she goes back up into space, WALL-E hitches a ride, and we find out that there's a power struggle between the autopilot and the human pilot, because the autopilot has pretty much secret orders to never return to Earth. And the human pilot is all gung-ho for returning to Earth. So the movie is basically trying to get this plant to the right guy and get the whole of humanity back to Earth to start again. And
throughout this whole film, there is a subtext of, like, these two robots having some kind of relationship with each other. Like, it's on top of a kind of a space adventure and science fiction. It's also a romance.
It's a beautiful little cute, romance for robots.
Yeah.
A romance. A romance. So I'm like, oh wait, that makes sense already.
So, but this is the first movie in the first movie that I would start saying is the beginning of Pixar's depressing series.
Okay, like, what are the other ones?
Like, I don't know. I hear, like, the I don't know what it was called, the one where the little girl and all of her emotions are personified.
Oh, Inside Out.
Yeah, supposedly
Herman's Head.
Yes, but supposedly that one was a bit of a downer.
Oh, and I have to watch that. I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't either. But
it's a coming. Don't worry.
I don't know. I always was a bigger fan of DreamWorks, as opposed to Pixar. Not particularly because one is of better quality than the other. It's just DreamWorks seems to have more fun.
Yeah, you like a bunch of fart jokes and burps and everything.
But Pixar is always a little bit heavy with their subject matter.
Yeah, I guess I can get behind that. Because especially when you get to a certain part of Pixar, like Toy Story 1 was fun.
Yeah,
A Bug's Life was like, all right, we're just gonna have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Toy Story 2 even was fun. And then you get to Toy Story 3, it's like growing up's a bitch.
Toy Story 3 was kind of a toys going through an existential crisis.
And I haven't seen part 4 yet, but I'm sure it's not good.
Yeah.
But there's some things I want to talk about with WALL-E itself.
Yeah.
Before we lose that trail forever.
Yeah.
There are a few, I guess, elements watching this a second time that I guess I didn't really think about the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fairly obvious that they have a lot of allusions to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Especially with the Axiom's main I program, the AI program.
Otto.
Yeah, Otto, and versus HAL 9000.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I know that that 2001: A Space Odyssey and Kubrick don't own that bit of music that was it Thus Spake.
Zastor,
yeah.
Like, it's a 74-letter word. I don't know how to pronounce it.
So I know they don't own it, but they definitely use it in here, and they both of them basically had this idea of like secret orders that the ship has, and logic above reasoning, kind of. I guess logic and reasoning are one and the same, but logic over rationale, kind of.
I don't know. I don't remember if there was. I don't really remember if there was secret orders from 2001.
For HAL 9000, it was. They were going.
Oh yeah, the monolith.
Yeah, the monolith, and he had to lie. The HAL.
Because I was wondering if it's a more apt comparison if Otto was compared to RoboCop with Prime Directive 4.
Like, we will not return to Earth. Like, he starts to shut down whenever he starts trying to get near Earth. So it's a real danger for him. And
identification.
And at the end of WALL-E, the guy does get dipped into toxic waste and splattered. So I guess that's another one.
Yeah.
There's also I'm not gonna get too deep into the a lot of the subject matter that is in this movie because there is definitely an environmental theme to it,
and man's dependency on technology.
Yeah, and those two are so obvious, and everyone talks about them. I don't really want to talk about them too much.
No,
but I will say that one thing that I noticed this time, which again was always there, I just was not really paying too much attention to it, I guess, is the heavy almost consumerism. Especially the By and Large, which is the corporation that runs basically everything in the future, and they run the Axiom spaceship. They own it, and the CEO is basically when he's given his speeches and he's given the little briefings and everything. Yeah, it basically looks like he's in the seal of the White House.
Yeah, I think. Well, they call him Mr.
Mr. President.
So I think at that point he's the president of the world for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, they call it because there's the little seal says something about global leadership, and I'm like, huh. Interesting. He's very interesting.
I think they tagged him as the world CEO or something like that.
Yeah, and that is that's a pretty cool idea, and they do hint about it even in this 700 years in the future, well after President Fred Willard is left and gone his separate ways, because they'll be floating around and saying, all right, well, we're doing red now. Red's the big thing. Ooh, red, all right, or ooh, blue, and they'll change things around. And I was like, yeah, this is a kind of it's not the front and center plot of the story, but it is definitely in there. It is definitely a part of it, and I think that's the best way to do any kind of message or anything like that is don't make it front and center. Don't even the humanitarian like environmental stuff isn't front and center, because front and center, it's a cute little love story between robots trying to, you know, pretty much have a space adventure and, you know, get think from point A to point B. And yeah, but I do want to point. I want to point. You saw that, Brent. I want to point. Get the point.
We didn't. We didn't want to bring that out until the next season.
I want point stick number 3. Bring it down.
No.
All right, I'm gonna point it myself. Point. All right, now that I've lost track, I want to point out one last thing.
Yeah.
And that thing is as follows. And I am definitely not stalling for time because I've already forgotten what I wanted to talk about. But no, I wanted to talk about the opening, I'd say maybe half hour of the movie.
Yeah.
Where there's hardly any dialogue spoken. The only dialogue is like through a commercial or through Hello Dolly.
Oh, was that the movie?
I'm pretty sure that's the movie. I'm about 90% sure. But I do kind of like that, you know, it does start off and kind of, I guess, let the story tell itself as opposed to, you know, having like things speak every now and again. Like he only says a few words, like Wally and Eve.
Like they really managed to capture the wide array of emotions between these two characters with as little dialogue as possible.
And as I was sitting there, I was watching it, and I was thinking, it's kind of funny that Wally as a character is a much more expressive character without speaking than a lot of characters in movies are with speaking. Like, I don't know, well, let's think of, what was that movie we watched yesterday with Steven Seagal?
Oh
like,
my god.
None of the characters in that movie were as expressive as Wally.
Like, I almost want to do an entire podcast on that movie because that warrants... Oh, man,
General
that was
Commander, that's what it was. Maybe we'll do one later.
Whew! But, yeah, it goes to show, you know, the difference between the talent of direction and talent of acting, and, you know, the absence of that.
I have a question. I wanted to ask when we were watching it, but I just kind of forgot. Do you think now, because Eve has that gun arm, which is, I guess, a hand cannon.
Yeah.
Do you think... Who do you think would win in a fight? Eve or Johnny Five?
That's tough. Like,
I'm gonna say the first movie, Johnny Five, when he still had, you know, a laser.
It's a good question. I would, you know, I do want to say Eve, by virtue of the fact that she has technology several centuries more advanced than the robot from 1980s.
I will also say Eve, but I will say it because Johnny Five has a conscience. You know, he doesn't want to destroy things. Like, even the other Johnny Fives, I guess the Johnnies 2, 3, and 4, like, he doesn't destroy them, he just reprograms them, you know, which is much more horrifying now I think about it. He lets them live a living lie, basically, and...
Wait, I haven't seen Short Circuit in a very long time. He just programs them sentience?
Well, he programs them to be the Three Stooges. 3 robots come after him in the movie, and they try to kill him, and he just kind of, you know, makes a bunch of dumb comments and escapes. And, like, one by one, he, like, you know, he kind of traps them and shuts them down, reprograms them so that they become the Three Stooges. And I like to believe that he gave them life somehow through doing this.
I think immediately after the aftermath of that whole debacle, that they were just put in a compactor. And they were doing stick the entire time.
Oh, like, yeah, 100%.
You know, poking each other in the eyes and all that until like the battery core was erupted.
What are you doing, wise guy? Oh, come over here.
Yeah, what are you guys doing?
I like to think that it's the same battery that the T-800 has in...
like that hydrogen cell?
Yeah, that just nukes everything. And gets the bad guy from Mannequin and along with it.
Yeah, Terminator, chowderhead.
You know something? That would actually be a pretty funny concept.
But the Three Stooges getting attacked by the Terminator?
Yeah, like some wires get crossed somewhere, and it's like Like, we can only send a few people back, and somehow, you know how they always just wind up like, where are those, futuristic soldiers that I hired to go back in time and protect John Connor, and, or Sarah Connor, rather, and it's them, oh, we don't know nothing about protecting. Shut up and get in the phase transmissal device.
I imagine they go back in time and they fall from the building. Like they always form in the sky for some reason.
Yeah, of course.
But where's your pants, Chowderhead? I left them in the future.
Or
Mo, it's getting cold.
Or like when they arrive, they're still clothed, but it's like smoky and sooty. And they just kind of fall out. Like it's just
like it's clearly the mannequin that they would always use.
And then it just lands, and then they get up and it's them like, he does this little wave at the sky. And
that puddinhead doesn't eat. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't feel.
He's gonna rip his fucking heart out. Like, Mo, you said the word Mom doesn't like.
I'm sorry.
I got one for you right here. Can I go, guys? Do you need me for this, really?
So, I imagine the scenario would be that the Terminator or Skynet sent a T-800 back in time to get Sarah Connor, but they missed by about 50 years.
So the Terminator goes back and...
Yeah.
And like, it starts fighting the...
It starts fighting... Like, these down-and-out... bums are scraping around for food, and then all of a sudden, like, there's, this wind rustles up, and these lightning sparks. Nice day for a storm, is it?
See, I was thinking very similar to that idea, except that they, the Terminator misses, like, even one fraction of a second, like, leads to, like, 50 years, back, and so it looks for the nearest relatives, the closest relatives of the Connor family, and it is like one of the Three Stooges.
It's Curly.
Yeah. And my Terminator in my movie would be Curly Joe. No, it'd be Joe Besser.
No, stop it.
Shemp?
No, it's Curly. What are you doing?
You want Curly to be the T-800, the Terminator?
Oh, the T-800. Yeah. I thought you meant like the relative of John Connor.
No.
Who would I have? Like, there's not a lot of there's that old guy that every once in a while, like pops up, and they would just kind of inadvertently beat the shit out of him. But
maybe the Marx Brothers. It's Groucho.
Harpo.
Harpo's funny.
Yeah, he doesn't really talk.
I want your and your. No, okay.
The guy's banging on his door for rent, and he just honks the horn. Wow.
Hey, okay. I imagine a T-1000, just so we can have the call to Shemp. I know this hurts.
I guess if we're gonna do a T-1000, it would have to be what's his name, Charlie Chaplin, or I don't know which is funnier. What's his oh no, I don't know which would be funnier, Laurel or Hardy.
Well, you know what? I'm thinking that it's like a regular T-1000. Or no, it's Laurel. No, it's Hardy. It's Hardy, the bigger one. That's Oliver Hardy.
Yeah, I believe Oliver Hardy is.
But it's like the Terminator Dark Fate that the T-1000 like liquid part comes off of him, and the robot part is Laurel. So Laurel and Hardy are there. It's just that when they're merged, it's just one of them.
That's hilarious. And so when they're both merged, it's Hardy, and
when they're
separate, it's, I guess, Laurel and a skeleton.
Yeah. It's a skeleton with like the little bowler hat.
Yeah, and it scares him.
And the little fright wig. And I imagine the T-1000 in this one, since it's a Three Stooges bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't have like stabbing items. He just has wrenches. So he just like wrenches Curly's nose. I know this hurts. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Call to Shemp now. Hey, Mo, get this guy out! Oh, gosh. This is just going to get way out of hand. Mo with, like, the long pipe that just stabs right through it. Mo with the what do you call it? With the pipe through him.
Or that big fight scene between the Terminator and the T-1000. Like, when he punches him and his head goes all to mush.
That guy's haunted. And of course, just taking the long was it the steel bar or whatever, and just smashing his face into it.
Oh yeah, yep. Or running the rod through his chest.
Or doing the. I was gonna say the Hasta La Vista scene, but I can't think of a. Oh, I know. Maybe it would be a spread out.
That's perfect.
Now this is something that people really need to start writing down.
Like the Three Stooges.
Meet the Terminator.
Meet the Terminator.
They met Sinbad. Why not the Terminator?
Yeah, and Hercules.
Yeah. Didn't we talk about that in our first podcast?
We talked about it in one of them.
All right, mate, go ahead. What were you saying?
I don't remember.
I got distracted talking about.
Like. How would they kill the Terminator? You think? Like, I imagine some kind of like inadvertent explosion.
Yeah, well, I imagine.
Was it just a stick of dynamite in the ribs, like in the first one?
No, hear me out on this.
Okay,
this may get a little wacky.
I would expect it to.
Somehow, it ends with them riding a rocket, like a rocket taking off. And it takes the T-800 or the T-1000 with it, and they just kind of fly off, and then there's an explosion, and then they're in heaven with, like, the clouds and the
and then it's just.
And it's like, well, if we completed our mission, and they all start shaking hands like that three-way handshake thing, and then they see angel wings, and here comes the T-1000 rising up, and they run away from him to the pearly gates, and that's where it ends.
I was gonna say something with a biplane. All three of them are crammed into one seat in the biplane, or two are crammed into a seat in the biplane, and Curly and the T-1000 or the Terminator on the wings,
playing tennis.
Yeah, playing tennis, just doing all kinds of
shtick,
like trying to keep on balance, like meanwhile Mo's trying to hunt shoot down some ducks.
And I imagine he's trying to fly the plane levelly.
Yeah,
but Larry is trying to eat like a big sandwich, and it keeps on getting in his way.
Yeah, like he mistakes the throttle for like a hot dog and tries to eat it or something.
And it's like, just imagine Mo flying the plane, and all of a sudden like a sandwich comes into his nose, and he like gets angry and starts then he gets distracted, and the plane starts tipping over, and
or Larry gets scared and covers his eyes. And
like, see, I'm starting to think maybe the complete other way, where it's a very they act very seriously. They don't break character the whole time. There's one more chip. He starts pointing to his head. We have to destroy it too. That's. I guess he can't. I guess Curly can't not do shtick.
Yeah.
And I order you not to go. He like waves him off.
Or it's here's one more chip. Where? Right here. Where?
Right here.
You're pointing to your noggin.
Yeah, it's in my head. Well, get it out of there.
I can't.
Okay, I got it. Ooh! Ooh! Like, it just shows him, like, opening his head and, like, starting to pull out a bunch of... See, I already went off my completely serious thing immediately, because I just can't do it.
He pulls, like, kitchen sinks and...
Yeah, he's, like, he starts pulling, like, springs and an accordion out. That's an accordion sound. Throws it down. I think I got it. And he, like, polishes it and tosses it into the liquid metal. Or the liquid steel.
Yeah, and then they just do that hoedown dance that they all do.
Yeah. John Connor kind of looks at the camera like, here we go again.
And the like the owner of the steel mill comes in there like, what happened to my steel mill? And then they just do that fast motion run.
Now here's something funny that I remember we talked about. This is going off on the Three Stooges a lot.
Yeah.
But I remember having this or talking about this a long time ago. That what if when they threw the T-1000 into the molten steel, it's like he doesn't die. You know, he just kind of dissipates so much that, you know, all the steel that's in there, even though it's molten, is all part of his body now.
Yeah.
And he kind of rises up as this giant molten steel beast. It's like, there's nothing you can do at that point. He is done for.
True, but then again, all you would have to do is wait until the steel hardens.
And then he's just a statue.
Yeah. a permanent sentient statue.
And it's like I imagine his eyes can still move around, so when people are walking by and, like, I don't know, like, waving to it and rubbing its belly for good luck or whatever, like, its eyes just always looking at him, just kind of pissed off looking eyes, just staring down at them, but
I imagine
can't do anything.
I imagine whoever owns the statue just eventually gets creeped out enough to put big googly eyes on it.
Over its regular eyes.
Yeah, over its regular. They can't do anything about it.
What'd you say?
Shut up, you're scaring the patrons.
No. That's the sound googly eyes make.
Yeah, of course.
That's a lot better. Yeah, I think that'd be that's a solid ending to Terminator 2.
You know, the T-1000 kind of had it coming too. Like, he's not a good guy, so.
How
on.
How many people did the T-1000 kill in that movie?
Let's see. He killed
the first cop.
He killed the parents.
Okay, and he killed that fat guy.
Presumably the dog.
Oh. Yeah, he deserves it. So he kills about 4 people.
He made a guy jump out of the helicopter.
He survived.
Did he, though? That was pretty
probably did. Yeah, I mean, he's never going to walk again, but he survived.
Yeah, you said you got the security guard?
Yeah, the fat guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's 4 people.
He scared Dr. Silverman.
Well, that's a plus in my book for him. Like, you know, okay, that takes one of the deaths away. Which death does that take away? Not George Mason's. That's too hard. But
maybe the security guard.
Nah, maybe Ramirez from Alien. Was that her name?
Vasquez.
Vasquez. That's what it was. Maybe take her death away.
I guess.
Or maybe the cop in the beginning. They're like, him scaring Silverman would take that first guy out, and... Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he killed the cop in the beginning.
It's like, he didn't punch him. He probably just... You know, I think if you listen to it, it has like a...
A slice sound?
Yeah, a slicing sound. Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe I'm full of shit.
I don't know.
I was actually going to watch Terminator 2 for our movie today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I was like, let me see if there's something else out there. Let me flip around, find something a little bit different. Because, you know, I just watched the first one. I was like, yep, I'll probably watch the next one soon.
Yeah, even all these years later, it still holds up.
I think that it might be probably one of the greatest sequels ever made.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I can't disagree with that.
Like, I don't know if you would consider Empire Strikes Back to be a sequel or just part 2 in a trilogy. It's a gray area.
I would say it's a sequel because New Hope was self-contained enough to where it could be a complete series. Like, you could say, all right, maybe they killed off the Empire by destroying the Star Destroyer.
Yeah, like, okay, Darth Vader survived, but that governor didn't. Tarkin didn't survive, and that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. So it looks like the tide has turned either way. But yeah, okay, I can see a sequel. From, like, part 2's point of view, it was a sequel. You know? Yeah. And, you know, even that, I do think that is my favorite Star Wars movie, but I do think I like Terminator 2 as a sequel better than Star Wars 2.
Yeah.
Just mainly because Darth Vader's cool and all, but the T-1000 would kick his ass.
Yeah.
Though both of them had problem with lava.
I think a good second place would be Aliens, which is another Cameron movie.
Yep.
He does good sequels.
I would say that I personally like Aliens better than I like Alien.
I agree.
So like, it is one. I remember I didn't like Alien the first time I saw it. Well, the first time I saw it, I only saw like the last half hour, so I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And I rented it, and like I was like 15 years old, and it was the last time that a movie made me scream out loud.
Oh yeah.
And it was
what was the scene?
It was the
vents.
The vents, yeah. Because I was watching, and I was like, oh, this is some pretty good stuff. And they turn around, and it's very well paced and shot.
Oh yeah.
And you turn around, and you see it, and I was like, oh. And like I was actually surprised that it startled me so much.
Oh, it was definitely a very good jump scare.
Like and I'm not a big fan of jump scares, but that was a good jump scare.
Yeah.
So I rented the movie and I watched it. I was like, oh, now I can see it from the beginning. And I was like, yeah, the last half hour is the only good part.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've come around that movie a little bit, but I still like the sequel better.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely the sequel. I grew up with the sequel, which now that I think about it, that's not really. Not a healthy movie for like a 8 to 10-year-old to watch.
There's a little kid in it.
Yeah, I guess.
They mostly come out at night. Mostly.
And I loved the movie. In fact, I was kind of infatuated. Like I wanted to know more about the aliens and all that jazz. And then. I heard that it was okay. It's a sequel. I'll watch the original. I might be able to, get more, more about it. Like know a lot more how where they came from, and you kind of do. And
yeah, I guess
it's boring. That was I kind of get it. Like they were kind of going for the Spielberg approach with the creature where. You don't see it as often.
Less is more, kind of. Yeah, and I do like that. They wanted to make a horror movie in space.
Yeah,
and that's a pretty neat idea and a very tall order. And it's very rare to have a movie that is both horror and sci-fi and can do both well.
Yeah, I can't really think about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to rack my brain for one right now.
Maybe. Well, no, I was going to say maybe virus. No, was it
I can see that.
Not really. It's more of a horror in the ocean, but I would definitely say...
robots.
Yeah, it's true.
But go ahead. What are you going to say?
I would say Event Horizon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, is definitely a space horror.
Okay, yeah, it's a sci-fi horror. That's, although... totally different caliber movies. I've never seen the director's cut of Event Horizon, though.
Wait, is there one?
I think that there is. That there's that they restored.
I hear it's gory as hell.
Yeah, that they restored like missing footage or something. I could be full of shit. But I hear that there's a extended cut with the most of the gore put back in, and I would like to check that out. I think it'd probably be. I remember when I first saw it, I was kind of underwhelmed.
Yeah. Same here, because you know why.
Yeah.
You know exactly why.
Now, here's the funny thing. When I was in school, when I was in Millersville, this is a couple years ago, people were talking about... I guess we're talking about space or something, and they were talking about like, oh, if you punch a hole here and another hole here, you can kind of slide through, like the whole wormhole thing.
Yeah, what that thing? Oh,
Well, that what happened in Event Horizon.
Were they quoting Event Horizon?
No, they were quoting Stranger Things. But I was like, I was excited. I was like, oh, you guys have seen Event Horizon, huh? And they kind of looked at me like, no, we were talking about Stranger Things. I'm like, no, you guys are talking about Event Horizon.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about Sam Neill. Who? The guy from Jurassic Park. Oh, Chris Pratt. No. The guy from Jurassic Park. Who? And Cowboy Curtis. Who? The guy from Pee Wee Herman. Who? Fine, Stranger Things. Yay! This is how I imagine things went. This is not... Like, it didn't go that route. But in my head, I think... this is how I think of things.
I'm gonna say something controversial. I don't see the hype about Stranger Things.
Well, blow me down. I didn't expect that. No, I know we've talked about this before.
It's like, I do appreciate what they're trying to do, and I think they... for the most point, are doing it well. It just seems... there's just nothing that's really drawing me in. It's a neat story, but I don't really like any of the characters.
Yeah, that's why I watched the first episode, and that's why I stopped. I was like, all right, do I like do I like this lady here? I like the kids. I thought they were cool.
They were all right.
But for the most part, I was like, there was nothing to really, like you said, nothing to really draw me back in. So I think you've seen the first season.
I've seen the first couple seasons.
Okay, so I watched the first episode, and that's where I stopped. That's where I drew the line.
I saw, I think, at least the first. I saw definitely the first 2 seasons. I think I started the 3rd season and just kind of gave up. And it's not. I think the biggest flaw in the show is that there's too many characters.
Okay.
And it doesn't really have enough focus to stay on.
There are too many notes. Like the
Amadeus.
Yeah, for the Emperor from Amadeus.
Yeah. And I just I want to I want to be like the Goonies, where it mostly stays on these kids and it doesn't really pay off. Like go on.
I was gonna say, I wonder, thinking of like what Stranger Things is and everything, is basically a television show, even though it's a streaming service. It's basically a television show for like the generation, I guess, like our generation and a little bit below. So I wonder what, if you think of the people who, like back in the 50s, they were making I Love Lucy and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like, if you could somehow go back in time and take the PlayStation and like find a way to hook it all up and somehow get the streaming service there, or just bring the DVD back or something and be like, all right, I want you guys to watch this season of the show called Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think they would react to it?
I think they'd be very confused. It's tough because they make references, like 80s references, and to things that these people would have they wouldn't even know about it for 30 years. Yeah,
they would. I think that a big chunk of it would be like over their head. Of course, I'm already. I'm just gonna say that when I walk in there with my PlayStation and my HD TV, I'm like, all right, you guys got some like plugs and everything. I'm just imagining that they're on board with the whole time travel aspect.
I think after I'm guessing it's going to be several months of preparation. Like you eventually break down like, all right, TV will be in color. And then TV will be bigger and flatter and less radioactive. And once you get them settled down into that their world is shattered.
Yeah, then, like once the frenzy ends.
Then you could probably bring them into the show. And I think once you're showing them a show from the far future, about the not so far future.
Yeah.
I think what they're probably going to do is just complain about what people dress like in the 1980s. It's just going to be them, it's mostly going to to be commentary.
Yeah, I like him at like, where's their zoot suit? Says the guy who's like spinning a watch around.
I think it's like, why is his hair so big? Why don't they brush their hair in the future?
Why can't this one get a haircut? He needs a haircut.
And what's with the music that's so loud? Where's the bopper?
Mind you, all these people are in their 30s, and they're still speaking like this, because I just imagine that's what all old people from the 50s spoke like,
of
always.
Course.
Like, what? And
I wasn't doing an old person voice. I think maybe I was
50s voice.
Yeah. I think I was just doing I guess we went to Brooklyn. That's where the weakness in the time-space continuum is
in Brooklyn.
It's in Brooklyn or Queens.
It's like you go there, and there's like even now, every time period is there at once. There's no. It's the one place that's stuck. That's just out of time.
Yeah.
It's like,
hey, you want to use the vortex? You gotta stand in line like the rest of us.
Hey, is that guy trying to cut in front of us with the vortex?
Hey, I've been here since the Renaissance. I need to get back and paint some paintings.
Look at his haircut. You should get a haircut. Like, oh my gosh. Fine, I'll stand at the back of the vortex. So what are you going to use the vortex for?
I don't know, win some lotteries?
You guys are just unimaginative. What are you going to use it for?
I gotta save John Connor. He's in trouble.
This guy.
You shout ahead. John Connor's been dead for 30 years. Blink. Ow! That's how I move ahead in the line. Like, they slap each other. I just go around them.
And then Mo turns around, and there's another Curly. I killed him! I killed John Connor by accident!
So we gotta... Hey, what if we team up? Then you'll both kill him. Spread out. Let me handle this. Then there's like a Mo with
like half his face burned off.
I was gonna say with egg beaters for hands. Like in The Simpsons. Like, guys, we made a terrible mistake. Like, we need to really rethink our strategy.
Mo, maybe I should get a crack.
And then...
Hey, you guys gonna move the line up there?
Like, more and more of you keep on showing up. Like, alright, let's just go around them. Like, I imagine there's a certain point, like, that there's just an exponentially increasing level of Stooges that just keep on showing up at the back of the line.
Eventually, they kind of cordon off a part of town. It's just Stooge Town for at least until they're dead.
Yeah, here's the thing, it's like, the line is moving at a steady clip, but if you're at the back of the line, there's an infinite amount of Stooges in front of you, so that it is a time cul-de-sac. So it doesn't matter how fast the line is moving, it is infinitely, growing exponentially the amount of Stooges.
That's terrible. Like, there is no good outcome for that.
Well, yes, there is. There's only one hope. The guy who's standing directly in front of the Stooges is the last line of defense for time.
Until...
And that person is you, Britain. How do you save this?
I don't know. I'm at the end of the line of infinity. I don't know how to...
Well, here's... you're right in front of them.
Oh,
you're directly in front of them, and you see what's going on.
I'm in front of infinity.
Yeah, you're in front of infinity, and it's just getting more infinite. So it's like the line's getting shorter and shorter, and you keep on looking back, and you're like, this ain't going anywhere. And you realize that you are the one who has to stop the infinite expansion of the Stooges.
Okay.
How do you stop that? You get one crack at the vortex.
I would have to kill Edison when he's inventing the the film camera.
I'd go back even further, and the guy who invented the photograph, maybe, but it's an inevitability. Like,
film cameras are inevitable.
It was a
Judgment Day is inevitable.
Like, we gotta think outside the box here, fellas. I imagine you try to you find some way to replace the first Stooges skit, the woman haters.
Yeah.
Like, you replace it with Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
And you come back, you're like, and you look, and there's just Abbott and Costello in line behind you. But
indefinitely.
Yeah, now they're infinitely expanding too.
Eventually, I just go back and stomp on the fish that comes out of the water.
You start fading away. But then you fade into... Then Curly appears next to you.
The fish was inevitable.
Then I reappear, and I'm in line as one of the Stooges.
No!
Hey, no cutting.
No cutting. And it's a Twilight Zone episode.
I know. The silliest one possible.
The, what we can call it? The Infinite Stooge problem.
The Stooge at the end of the line.
The Stooge at the end of the universe.
Perfect.
It's like, you realize that the more Stooges there are and the more infinite they grow, like, the more they are just defeating, like, the laws of the universe.
Well, do you want to go down this rabbit hole?
Of course I do.
Because eventually Like, if you have a continuing, something that continues to embiggen indefinitely without stop, eventually it will.
Here it goes.
It will collapse into a black hole.
Yep. I knew
and
that's where it was going.
consume the universe.
I knew that's where that was going. Like, remember in 2010 Space Odyssey 2, like where all the monoliths pretty much form like a black hole or something?
they all topple into Jupiter and collapse into a black hole.
Well, that is basically what
it collapses into a star, but you could do the same with a black hole.
That's what happens. Like, it's a Stooge black hole, and it just...
I imagine they're all doing the running on the floor thing as they're toppling into the star. until they burn up.
and that black hole is just an ever increasing black hole, and eventually the black hole takes over the entire universe until the black hole is the universe.
Oh yeah, it would eventually consume everything. And I imagine in the singularity it's just somehow they're still alive in this single point of infinite density. Spread out. We can't. It's a singularity.
They're all like smushed together.
Yeah.
I imagine at the center of this singularity is just you with your hands in your pockets, like, well, I didn't do it. I caused the end of the universe. Well, actually, you're at the focal point. You're at the literal center of the entire universe now.
Yeah. And, yeah.
Other universes are being invaded by this universe.
Other universes are trying to get their distance away from this. Like this.
Go ahead.
This one that's getting bigger.
A rogue universe.
Yeah, a rogue universe that's just getting bigger and more stupid.
The mayor of like the nearest universe like starts the universe and starts driving it away, but like our universe is like right behind them. Go faster, faster! I can't.
Like our universe turned into that bad neighborhood when the National Lampoon's Vacation.
Like other universes are rolling up their window as they're going by our universe. Like it's just a moment of stopping for other universe where they realize like that their universe is being drawn, being pulled into this other universe.
Ugh.
And and you are the only thing that lives outside of time. Outside, like inside the center of the universe, you're just sitting there, just bored.
You would think I wouldn't be, seeing as I have the entirety of all the universe and time at my disposal.
But nope. What are you gonna do? Well, I guess you summon a can.
I guess so.
So you can kick it.
Like, I know the entirety of everything and anything that it can and will be.
What else is there?
I guess it's like Dr. Manhattan's problem. Like, how exciting is life when you know its entirety?
Huh. That's actually an interesting idea now. Like, I mean, I know Dr. Manhattan beat us to the punch there, but the Britain in the middle of the universe, that's the sequel to the Stooges at the end of the universe. That's our book that we're writing, or the episodes we're writing.
Yeah.
The Britain in the middle of the universe, like, with literally everything at the pretty much at your whim.
Yeah.
But what is there to do? What else can you do?
What can you do when you know the outcome of everything?
When you know every single thing that could ever be known or ever will be known.
Yeah.
And you've done everything that can be done or will be done.
When the entirety of all existence throughout time is pretty much the mental equivalent of a tic-tac-toe game.
Here we go.
Like what is there? What else? I guess death. Like it's as Peter Pan is the next
next great adventure.
Next great adventure.
It's like, no, Britain, you can't die. Once you do, every universe ever dies. If you die, it is the heat death of everything.
It's like, not only that, it's like, well, you're God now, Britain.
What do you... No!
Like, I would be the worst god you could people would pray to me and I just want to be left alone. Maybe that's what it is. Like, maybe
that's the final answer.
The final answer is that it turns out that I was the god of our universe, stuck out of time, and I just want people to leave me alone. So that's why no one's prayers get answered.
Like, all the prayers that you hear, you just ignore. You just think, like, it's like you're falling asleep, and you're just like, man, the prayers are keeping me up.
Put it on voicemail.
Put it on auto reply. No. It's like, oh man, I hate having this Britain.
And every once in a while, I'll feel bad, and look at the inbox, like, oh, those poor kids.
Oh well. Click.
Yeah. Delete.
I imagine every now and again you'll just grant one just to kind of. It's like your Christmas tradition.
Like, I have to for tax reasons.
Yeah. Otherwise, you might have to pay more taxes.
I'll have to renew my license.
So it's like, all right. And every time you try to find the most minuscule prayer, like, oh, I wish I could see the magic eye. And you're like, all right, fine, I'll let this kid do it, and it butterfly effects into something just chaotic and awful.
Yeah, butterfly effects to a man in a clock tower with a rifle.
See, I was thinking more along the lines of, now that the kid can see the magic eye, now he wants to keep on seeing more and more of the magic eyes, and then the magic eyes take over his life, so he starts seeing things a little bit differently. Like, he can start reading computer schematics differently because of the magic eyes. And now he starts building like a heat ray, and he becomes like a mad scientist that like melts the polar ice caps and like encases the world in seawater. Like, this is why I don't answer prayers.
It's like somehow I answer a prayer, and then some thousands of poor children get like cancer.
Oh.
or radiation or something like this. Like, the more I try and help, the worse the universe is because of it.
It's like you try the simplest things you can do. Like, all right, this guy prayed that he'll find some shoes. I think I can let him find some shoes. And then as soon as you click that yes box, like, the side effects are, well, Asia's lost. It floated off into space somehow.
Asia sinks into the ocean.
It's like, and then, and great, now Antarctica is hovering 6,000 feet above the Earth.
Alright, then no. Alright, well, now Earth becomes Neptune.
Oh, God. I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. Yeah, so choose a better prayer to answer.
Okay, he gets one shoe. The universe will allow this.
The universe will find this balance in, as okay.
I guess me as God has to appeal to the universe, which is the board of trustees.
Yeah. Even though you have the powers of a deity, like, the universe is still basically like the clockmaker, like, winding the clock kind of thing.
I can only be the executor of the laws that the universe pass.
And so, like, you try to find the most minimal compromises that you can make.
Alright. Alright, this one stray dog finds a lovely home with this lovely family.
That man was Genghis Khan.
Yeah, that dog was named Blondie.
And on that note, WALL-E.
Very good movie. I think it, even all these years later, it still holds up. It is very charming.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic movie. I think that they do almost everything right that they can do with it.
Yeah.
So, well, that's it. Take it easy.
A toodaloo.
That'll hold a little SOBs.